Good morning. You're listening to First Talk with Hal Rell on WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. Lindsay Kiesler joins us, the president of your local Chamber of Commerce, the Catawba County Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber, who has 3 questions for you. Good morning. Nice to see you this morning.
Good morning, Hal. Thank you always for this opportunity.
Always good to see you. Thanks so much. What's going on? What are these questions? Because you haven't asked me yet, and I'll answer them with everybody. How about that?
Excellent. So Election Day is tomorrow,
yes.
and thank you for your words this morning towards our local voters. And I'm going to really piggyback on a lot of what you said already and take a little bit more of a pro-business slant to it.
Good.
Particularly talking to those that may be listening that own businesses or operate businesses, just to be mindful of those candidates out there, to do your research,
Right.
to understand, first of all, who's on the ballot, and then second of all, what are those candidates stand for? And then to look specifically, I've got 3 simple questions that I'll ask to be able to get you to look to see what they support and how we can continue to elect those in our offices that consider our economy, that consider job creation, and that consider just pro-business policy.
Okay. Sounds good.
So first of all, the presidential election is essential, but I just want to remind you the importance of many other races that are on the ballot tomorrow. And so make sure, the Commissioner of Labor is there, Secretary of State, the Superintendent of Public Instruction. We've got State House, State Senate, local school board positions are on the ballot. So these are individuals that have great impacts on you personally and professionally, and certainly relating to your business. So I always lean on our legislative agenda. So every year we adopt a legislative agenda with the help of business leaders and community leaders that make up our advocacy task force. So they understand what are those issues that are most important to our local business community, and we curate them together, and our board actually considers and votes to adopt them.
Okay.
So if you want to see the legislative agenda for the Chamber, I encourage you to go to our website, catawbachamber.org. But each of these questions are based off of our legislative agenda.
Oh, okay.
So the first
Good.
one is,
Okay.
how does the candidate support economic growth and job creation, particularly for local businesses?
It's a great question.
So do they back policies that reduce regulatory burdens? Do they incentivize business development through policies? Also, are they interested in enhancing access to workforce training?
Wow.
So when it comes to our local economy, when it comes to job growth and fostering a favorable economic climate, consider candidates that support economic growth and job creation.
See, that was not one of the ones that I would think about, but that would apply pretty much across the board.
Absolutely.
But with a business, like you said, a business slant, but pretty much across the board, that would be a good question for any candidate who's coming up, whether that's in education. But good question. Okay.
So number 2, what are the candidates' plans for infrastructure investment, particularly in critical areas for business operations? So the Chamber supports modernizing our infrastructure. And infrastructure we're referring to are things like broadband expansion, things like energy generation, our electric grid, and things like water and sewer investments. Also, transportation finance reform. So how are we thinking long-term and investing in our roadways, our bridges?
So when you said infrastructure at the beginning, I thought roadways and bridges.
Absolutely.
But when you really start to take a look at infrastructure and with a business slant, you think about things like
even
that, like
housing,
development.
Residential development would also be in support of business development.
Okay.
And then assess whether the candidate has specific proposals to fund or prioritize these types of infrastructure improvements.
It's great to have an idea, but what you're going to do about it.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
So number 2 is, what are the candidates' plans for infrastructure investment, particularly in areas critical for business operations?
Got it.
That would be
Good
my
question.
second question.
Good question.
All right. Third is, does the candidate support educational and workforce development initiatives aligned with local business needs?
Huh. Okay.
So workforce readiness and skills alignment are top priorities of our chamber. And so do your research and check if the candidate has a track record or has any experience in advocating for education funding, for vocational programs, or partnerships with local industries that prepare students, either future talent or existing talent, for high demand roles. And then make sure that they have a plan for addressing the talent gaps and the barriers to employment, like childcare.
Right.
Justice-involved individuals. So putting people back to work that have gone through our justice system.
Okay.
But childcare is a big one, Hal. I mean, that is a tremendous barrier. Access to affordable childcare is something that not just government will be responsible for. That's going to take creative solutions across the state from the private sector and the public sector and the nonprofit community. So, number 3 is, does the candidate support educational and workforce development initiatives aligned with local business needs?
Okay.
These are 3 specific areas that make up a significant portion of our legislative agenda. As you're doing your research, if you want to reference that agenda again, I encourage you to go to catawbachamber.org. I did publish a blog on the Chamber's website last week that features a lot of our priorities, our pro-business priorities. So
those are great questions for people who are interested in business and in the community at large.
Thank you.
I think so.
Thank you. So by focusing on all of these areas, you can determine which candidates align best with supporting our economy, growing jobs, infrastructure, as well as supporting our workforce readiness. So
I like the way that you brought up, too. Take a look at track records. Take a look at plans and procedures and what way, because everyone's going to say, oh, yeah, that sounds great to me. But what have they done and what do they have in a concrete manner? What would they do moving forward? How are they going to do this? Because everybody wants to, has got this wonderful idea. Mm-hmm. But what are they actually going to do to try to institute it? What do they have as far as a way that we can move ahead with this? Great stuff. Great questions.
Yeah. So I just encourage you to look at their backgrounds, like you said, Hal. Look at their campaign websites. Read about maybe what they've done for a career. Even have they worked in the private sector? Have they led companies or teams? Do they have a voting record that you can investigate to see, hey, are they backing up what they're saying with their vote and representing their constituents? So yeah, tomorrow is a very important election, like every election is. And so I encourage those of you that are listening, if you haven't already participated in early voting, I encourage you to get out to the polls and exercise your right that you have the privilege to get out there and cast your vote. And your vote makes a difference. Your vote absolutely makes a difference. So just tomorrow, if you just consider the things that you're passionate about, but also consider how you can vote for candidates that support policies that will support our local community and our local businesses.
Well said. Thanks so much for bringing that up this morning. I think that's a great, and these are questions that people who are interested in business, who are interested in a better lifestyle, who are interested in our community need to ask. So there you go. And there's a lot of ABCs under that, too, a lot of other questions.
So get out there and vote.
Lindsay Kiesler, thanks so much. President of your Catawba County Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber. Appreciate her taking time to join us this morning with another segment of Chamber Chat. More First Talk right after this.